Hi, this is Laura, community reporter at the Lancashire Post, and today we're at the Ye Old Hob Inn in Bamber Bridge. And a famous battle called the Battle of Bamber Bridge in 1943 started right here in this pub. Now this is a tale of segregation of people, local people saying no to racism, saying no to segregation, standing up for what's right. And this terrible battle actually ended in tragedy, in the murder of a black African American soldier. So we're here today to speak to Clinton Smith. He's the chairperson of Preston Black History Society, and he is going to give us an insight into this fascinating tale.
The battle started in this very pub that we're in now, and it appears that at the end of normal trading on a Sunday night, the black GIs wanted to continue buying alcohol and couldn't understand the British rules and laws about last orders. They'd been in the pub for quite a while, and there was a fairly broad social gathering with locals, ex-British military personnel on leave, and there's a good spirit within the pub. And at some point around that, the military police entered the pub, and it appears that one of the soldiers, Eugene Nunn, was not in the appropriate dress code. So the army has different dress codes for different situation, and that seemed to have been the spark that ignited that. So there was a disagreement and conversation, potentially heated, and it threatened to get out of hand. It's on record that some of the locals actually stood with the black GIs and said, like, you know, why are you bothering them? There'll be no arrest tonight, they're not causing the problem, they're just mixing in with. So eventually the MPs left, and as they were leaving, the record was sure that a bottle was thrown in their direction. It doesn't say that the bottle actually hit anyone, but the bottle was thrown, so the MPs went off. The GIs then concluded their evening's relaxation and set off back to the camp, which was Adams Hall Camp, which is partway down what is now Mounsey Road. And somewhere along Station Road, the military police returned with reinforcements, and the next bit, as with so many skirmishes, gets a little bit blurred. But it ended up with one soldier being shot, that's Private Crossland. And word got back to the camp that the white MPs were killing black soldiers for fun. So there was an assault on the armoury, and the black GIs took to the streets with guns and ammunition from the armoury. There is talk of a machine gun being employed by the military police with that. And pretty much a free-for-all kicked off on Station Road. That went on for somewhere in excess of about 5 hours before order was maintained during reach time. As I say, Private Crossland ended up being a casualty. He was shot, and there was somewhere in the region of 7 other casualties as a result of that battle. What also comes out is that some of the black GIs, because of the relationship they'd had with the residents in Bamber Bridge, were going down the street telling the residents to go back indoors, close your door, shut your doors, there's going to be a fight. And that was the regard they had based on the response and the welcome that they received from the people in Bamber Bridge. In terms of William Crossland, there's nothing significant about him prior to that. He was just one of the regular GIs that were attached to the 1511th Quartermaster's Truck Division. So he was nowhere on the radar. He was just a face in a group, a name on a list, etc. And it's the notoriety of his death that is catapulted into people's memory and mind. I think we can surmise that there were just an overwhelming number of MPs who were called in, again additional resources, and maybe a sense of common sense intervened, because there was a low-ranked black officer who was trying to maintain peace amongst this, because all the officers above him were white. So I'm surmising it's a combination of a few things that actually brought it to a conclusion. I think it's probably a couple of days beforehand that there'd been uprisings within continental America, and in Detroit things turned fairly nasty. Now it seems unlikely that that information wouldn't have crossed the Atlantic and have landed potentially with the GIs that are here. So when the call went out that they were killing black soldiers, I suspect that people just put the two together and then immediately thought about survival. I'm not just going to roll over and depart this earth. I'm going to put up a fight. So it's definitely been a factor. How big a factor and how much they actually knew, I'm not 100% certain. But the caution is that all this is taking place with a backdrop of war going on, so information was heavily censored and in fact just withheld in places. Some were amended, so there's a question mark about exactly what would have cascaded down to the soldiers, but the belief is it was definitely a factor in what was going on.
Thank you very much to Clinton for his fantastic insight into a tale that ended in the fatal shooting of William Crossland. And I can't imagine what it must have been like for the local people, you know, living down this road, who would have woken up in the middle of the night to gunfire, not knowing what was going on, if they were being invaded. I mean, this was during World War II. It must have been absolutely terrifying, having to comfort their partners and their children at a time when there was no social media. You couldn't ask your neighbours what was going on. But despite the tragedy, you know, it makes you very proud that this town stood up against segregation, said no to you know, the American soldiers who wanted segregation, and said no, you know, we take people as we find them, and everybody is welcome here.